Welcome back to the RGE Limited boardroom. Adjust your posture and clear your schedule because today we're discussing the ultimate corporate sin indecision. If you think a family feud over a holiday home is stressful, wait until you see what happens when a billion-shilling legacy is left hanging because the survivors can't decide who gets to hold the pen. We're diving into the Mhagama and Mwaikinda file, the case that proves that in the game of inheritance, if you don't speak up at the wedding, you certainly don't get to scream at the funeral. Here is your high society briefing on the ghost of the second will, served with a fresh, sharp edge. The scene: a 4-year silent treatment. We're looking at the estate of the late Jackson Reuben Mwaikinda. He left behind a widow, Theofrida, and 3 children from a previous chapter of his life, his pre-marriage heirs. He also left a will, a hand-picked executor who unfortunately decided to exit the stage permanently in 2021 before the paperwork was finished. Since then, the executor's seat has been vacant for nearly 4 years. Theofrida marched into court claiming the estate was, quote, deteriorating and being, quote, intermeddled with. But here is a delicious part for those of us who appreciate a good family scandal. The widow and the eldest son, Reuben, are, quote, incompatible to the extent that they do not talk to each other. Neither can administer the estate because they can't even agree on the time of day, much less on the distribution of assets. The move: invoking the nuclear option. Theofrida wanted the Administrator General to step in and take over the whole show. She tried to use the Administrator General's Act and the Civil Procedure Code to force the government to play referee in her family drama. In this boardroom, we call that a desperate play. But as it turns out, she wasn't just asking for help. She was trying to rewrite history. The scandal. The 2020 ghost ruling. Here is where the judge, Honorable Ngunyala, did a bit of detective work that would make a private investigator blush. He discovered that this wasn't Theofrida's first time at the courthouse. Back in 2020, the Court of Appeal had already looked at this exact will and ruled that it had been read, interpreted, and executed exactly as the deceased intended. The highest court in the land had already told her, you had the chance to object when the will was first read after the burial. But you stayed silent. You had the chance to file a caveat in 2016, and you did nothing. Now she was trying to claim the will was only, quote, partially executed, just to get a second bite of the apple. The boardroom reality check. Wrong law, wrong result. The judge dropped a hammer on this application, and it's a lesson we should all take to heart. Theofrida's case didn't just fail on the facts, it failed on the instructions. The first is the procedure trap. If an executor dies before finishing the job, you don't go running to the Administrator General's Act like it's a customer service desk. You must follow Section 46 of the Probate and Administration of Estates Act, Cap 352, which provides the specific roadmap for granting, quote, letters of administration for the unadministered portion, end of quote, of an estate. Secondly, the finality rule. You cannot use a procedural application to challenge a will that a superior court has already declared valid and finished. Once the Court of Appeal says a deal is done, the boardroom door is locked. My final takeaway. Darlings, the lesson from Mwaikinda files is simple. Empires are not built on later. If you have a grievance about a legacy or a contract, you speak up when the ink is wet. If you wait until the executor in the ground and the Court of Appeal has already closed the file, you aren't a litigant, you are a nuisance. The court struck her application out as, quote, incompetent. In this boardroom, we don't do incompetent, and we certainly don't use the wrong rule book for a billion-shilling play. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go ensure my own department heads are speaking to each other. Silence might be golden, but in probate, it's just expensive.